Okay, so for today, I'm just going to do a basic introduction about advanced programming and the tools that you need to install so that you can go and practice programming, right? But I guess most of you have already got Java installed in your computer, right? So don't worry. We are going to go through the detailed installation guide later. But before that, let's start taking your attendance. I know today many people will not be able to come for the attendance, right? Some are still stranded, okay? Couldn't book a ticket, right? So whatever. Then this is for your attendance. The code is 4X7EM6. All right, so please settle down and make sure you sign in using your CAMS application tools, right, for your attendance. You need to maintain 80% attendance in order to be qualified for your final exam, as usual, right? Okay. Right. So this will be a very quick briefing. And because it's week 1, you don't have any tutorial class. So the lecture will always be on Friday, which I kind of dislike, because if you have a lecture on Monday, then the rest of the tutorial sessions that you have, you can actually ask questions, right? But unfortunately, the lecture is on, okay, Friday. So if you have any questions, you have to keep it and ask on the next week, right? On next week, then kind of unfortunate, but this time around, I'd just like to show you a bit about your class. We have about 407 students registered for this course, so that's why we're using this big room here. All right, 407, that's a huge group. All right, and one more thing is that your assessment, one of them includes a group project. All right, so this time around for the group project, we are going to have too many groups, okay? You notice that if I were to divide you into a group of 5 to 6 students, then most likely we are going to get up to 80 groups, right? 80 groups. And hence, in order to mark your assessments and so on, your tutor will be too busy, all right? So we try to make it easy for everyone. And as much as possible, I want you to group within your own tutorial group, okay? So unless you can't find group members from your own tutorial group, then you'll find from someone else, because the tutors will be marking, like, for example, your presentation and so on. So this we have deliberated quite some time already, and then there's no one simple solution, because each presentation group, if you're going to present, like, let's say 10 to 20 minutes, it's going to take the tutor's time more than 2 hours to finish it, right? Okay, right. So, okay, right. So if you are still undecided on which tutorial group you should go to, you can check with the timetabling and see which one will fit your timetable, all right? Okay. All right, so I'll wait for a while until everyone settles down, then I'll start the briefing. Okay, so the very first thing, please sign in. Right, attendance is very important. You need to maintain 80%. So out of the 14 weeks, means that you need to have at least more than 10, right? 10 weeks of your attendance. All right, so are you ready? Okay, never mind. Anyone else coming in? Right. So firstly, I would like to apologize for being unable to transpose the material from my previous semester to your new My Times portal. Just now it was down, right? It was down for quite some time because they need to do maintenance. But this was from the previous semester. You notice that I actually prepared a lot of information for you. don't worry, all these are available, right? So the thing is that I cannot transpose everything directly from one semester to another with one click of button. I need to copy them one by one, right? So that will be a bit slow. So by this weekend, I should have copied all the materials up to your new semester website, right? So your My Times website will contain all this information, including lecture notes and all the materials that you need, right? Including tutorial and including practicals, all right? So materials are all available. It's just that somehow this thing is not as simple as it sounds, right? When you want to port it to a new semester, all right? So anyway, I will start by talking about what you will be studying for this particular course, all right? So firstly, welcome to the course ITS 66704, Advanced Programming, right? So how many are actually from software engineering? Okay, I heard software engineering, not that many. Computer science, majority, right? Yeah, so that's about it. And okay, so for the April 2024 semester, the total number of students that we have, okay, is, if I'm not mistaken, 407, all right? So let's confirm it. Yeah, 407 is the one, right? So we have 407 students. The practical session is up to 36 students per group. So there are still some groups that are empty. But these are my groups only, okay? Those not under my care, they will be under my tutors. So altogether, there are 5 tutors, including myself, all right? And then we have also Mr. Mugilan, right? Dalia, as well as Danish, right? 3 of them. And one more will be your marker for your assignment and so on, all right? Okay. So take note of the time schedule. So once you're okay with this one, then let's go on to your course briefing, right? So lecture will be on Friday, every Friday, 7:30 to 8:30 p.m. Actually, 1 hour is not enough, right? Especially for heavyweight subjects like programming. And we're going to learn about advanced Java or advanced programming, all right? And then the practical lessons that I'm taking care of will be on Mondays, right? The 2 sessions. Wednesdays, another 2. Tuesday, 1 session. And Friday. So Friday session is 12 to 2. That will be under my care, all right? And other slots will be handled by my tutors, all right? Okay, and for those sessions under my care, congratulations, because you had too many holidays. Why? Let's have a look. Right. Okay. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, so happy with that. Right. Okay. Week 1, that's this week, is going to be just an introduction and overview about the course. So there won't be any heavyweight topics. If possible, I'll also introduce you to the IDE software, right? So this one I'll prepare. In fact, I've already prepared the installation guide to help you to install your system, right? Because we are not just going to use standard Java, right? On top of Java, we need to use Java FX, right? So Java FX needs a bit of configuration in order for it to work, all right? So therefore, you need to basically get your IDE ready for it. Okay, next will be, of course, week 2, Wednesday, public holiday, all right? So for any of the days that falls on public holiday, I will do a recording, right? So that means the tutorial will be recorded tutorial, and if you have any questions, you can ask me later in the next coming session, because we don't have sufficient place or sufficient venue for replacements. Very unfortunate, right? Everybody is grabbing the available slots, okay? And as you can see, week 1 is just introduction, right? And then a briefing on IDE, no practical classes. Whereas week 2, we are going to start talking about overview of exception handling, how to write exception handling codes, all right? And then on top of that, we have practical that focuses on your Java proficiency. And most important thing is you need to know what are these terms like class, object, instantiation, abstraction, and encapsulation. So these are the 5 key terms that you should have learned in your OOP, right? Object-oriented programming. If not, then we're going to revisit it and make sure you understand. Some people, until today, they cannot differentiate between, for example, a class and an instance of a class. Okay? And next, they cannot even know the difference between a class definition and a constructor. Okay, constructor will have the same name as your class, but it doesn't have the keyword class. Those are some of the things that I will re-examine you on, because I have seen a lot of nice answers in the final exam, right? That makes you wonder, what have you studied, right? Okay, so we try to make sure that you understand the concepts well, so that you can write proper programs, all right? Okay, next, of course, on top of the revision, we will also be focusing on new topics such as exception handling, right? How to write simple exception handling programs. And then that's by week 3, okay? And after that, on week 4, you start to learn how to program the UI, right? So we are going to look at basic user interface using JavaFX or Swing and AWT. So we are going to compare and contrast the differences and similarity between them and how you can make use of the event handling. But event handling is a topic on its own. So therefore, during the start of week 4, we are not going to go into the event handling yet, okay? So when you learn about the graphical UI, it comes with 2 things. Number 1 is, of course, the UI design, okay? And next will be the event handling, right? Because it comes together. When you click on a UI, you are generating an event, right? Then that event has to be handled by a specific routine that you have written, okay? So therefore, over here, we are going to do event-driven programming 1 and 2 on week 5 and 6. Week 5, unfortunately, again, Wednesday, right? So for those Monday and Wednesday, be happy. you are not going to have any classes on these 2 days. For other subjects as well, right? So this semester, the lucky people will be those who choose Monday and Wednesdays. I'm not encouraging you to change, huh? Don't tell other lecturers I'm encouraging you to change to other sessions on Monday or Wednesdays or whatever, right? Okay? So it just so happened that these are public holidays, all right? And we have to handle it in a different way, because if there's a public holiday, then I will have to basically record the tutorial or practical session, all right? Okay, so on week 5, as highlighted, you can see that this is a public holiday on Wednesday, Wesak Day. And take note that week 5, we are supposed to have assessment. That's your individual practical test on week 5. So what I'm going to do is the test will be online. To be fair to all right? To be fair to all, the test will be online, but you are not going to find the answer easily, all right? You can do the questions anywhere you like, okay? But you can't find the answers from textbooks, okay? You need to think of it, right? And the test will be marked by my tutor, okay? So Mr. Prasad will be the one marking it, but rest assured, okay, you will be tested on the basic concepts only, right? So it's not going to be very difficult or very easy, but as long as you have good foundation, especially in OOP, the first half is OOP. The second half is on the new things that you learn, all right? So the test is 10% on week 5, right, online. Next, on week 6, we are going to do a bit more event-driven programming, and at the same time, we are going to do something on mouse and keyboard handlers, right? So that will be covered in week number 6. So the tutorial questions will also be focusing on event handling using mouse and keyboard, all right? And then by week 7, we are going into more UI components. In this case, we are looking at label, button, text field, text area. All these are the components of UI that you can customize. And we'll see how we can customize them. and make them into very fancy looking UI that you would like to share with your friends, okay? Then week 8 is an independent learning week, okay? So week 8, I guess all the subjects are the same, is the time where you do your own self-study, right? But anyway, I'll also do the recording, lecture, and practical will be online, right? So please follow the classes closely. So I'll share all this information with you. And week 9, we are going into Java graphics programming. So then this is the part that we are going to use AWT, all right? And for the graphics programming, we are going to focus on creation of simple games. So you'll be handling the events, like for example, keyboard manipulation, right? Keyboard maneuvering, up, down, left, right, all those things, all right? And as well as mouse movement, right? Your mouse will also be working, plus your keyboard, right? The keyboard response. Okay, then on top of that, week 10, okay, week 10 we are going to study about IO stream collections. So the more difficult ones will be here, week 10, week 11. Okay, week 10 stream is quite challenging in the sense that because there are many types of streams that we can actually handle, right? So it's not just like, for example, your text IO. Text IO is the simplest implementation that you can imagine. Like, for example, if you want to store a file, text IO is the most, I would say the easiest to learn, right? And then followed by your binary streams or your so-called IO streams, right? So the IO streams allows data in binary format to be transported from one end to another. And you can even use this to transport, like, for example, your data over the internet. So that's why this is the part that's quite useful, but unfortunately very difficult to understand, right? We're going to look at, okay, the IO stream part later. Then in terms of Java collections framework, the JCF, okay? So we're going to cover that inside our collections 1 and collection 2, right? Collection 1 and 2, they are actually focusing on the Java collections framework, okay? So remember that these two are the Java collections framework. And we're going to look at the ready-made classes. And which one are the ready-made classes? The sets, maps, and then we also have the collections framework and the iterators that allows you to actually manipulate the so-called collections item by item, one by one. So therefore, you are able to actually read or write to the so-called collections in that sense. And then take note of the assessment also, right? So your assessment include one project, right? So that project has 2 parts. The first part is a write-up on your system design, right? And then the second part, part B, is on implementation. So all this will come in a report format that you have to submit, as well as you need to do a demo, right? So the demo, you need to show to your tutor that your system that you have created is working, right? So because this time there are too many students, we probably will have about 5 to 10 minutes of demo. So therefore, the tutor will be very quick and very straightforward. They will ask you to demo the system and tell us, okay, what is this for, right? Okay, and next, right, in between, you notice that there are holidays again, right? So always it happens for the April semester. There are so many holidays, okay, in the pipeline. And then your presentation will be on week 13. So what I intend to do is the tutors will be the one marking your presentation. So to make things easier for you, the presentation will be done during the tutorial, all right? So that's why I encourage you to form a group within your tutorial group so that you don't have timing issues, right? So that means when you want to present, you present directly to your tutor, and you know your tutor well, right? So your tutor will be nice to you because you have been so long with your tutor for 12 weeks, right? So then, hopefully, yeah, you'll get a good grade also, right? Okay, next, week 14, if possible, then I will get a guest speaker to talk about the advanced topics in programming, right? So you are going to see something like, okay, how to use your so-called code GPT to generate a code. I can demonstrate that to you anyway, right? So, but we are going to get someone from the industry to show us. And there's a rumor that says that in future you don't need programmers, right? Okay, this was quoted by Jason Wong. Okay, right, so somehow, is this going to be true? Then we shall see how good is the so-called code generator. Then on top of that, right, my consultation hours on Wednesday, 10 to 12 p.m. If you want to ask any questions, feel free to come to me, all right? And the mode of delivery for this subject is going to be 100% face-to-face, unless it falls on a holiday, then we have to have an online class, right? So at any time, if you need to see me, please feel free to text me on my email, okay? Send me an email. And I'll also create either a WhatsApp group or a Telegram group for you guys to communicate with me, all right? So later on, I'll share the group with you guys. Something similar to this one that I've created before, right? So then you can actually, okay, join a group chat, all right? And then from there, you'll be able to text me, and also you'll be able to get all these materials. So although it's already available, but it doesn't cross semester, right? So every semester I had to redo again, right? So that means whatever I have here, I have to move it or copy it from one particular semester folder to the other, all right? Okay, so any questions? If not, then we'll go into what you need to know, all right, for the lecture. Okay, so time is short. We only have half an hour left. Okay, so advanced programming, or the old name is called advanced object-oriented programming, or object-oriented programming using Java, all right? So again, as the name suggests, we are going to use Java, right? So how many are still not confident of writing Java code? Okay, if you're not confident, doesn't matter. Thanks for being honest. Okay, that's okay. But if, let's say, you are already comfortable with programming in Java, then that's good, right? Because then your learning experience will be much better. But in case if you can't follow, don't worry. I will show you to some additional resources, including some additional help that you can get from us, or even from the online tutorial, okay? So next. Okay, the topics covered in this particular subject will be exception handling. That means there won't be any basics, so that's why I need to actually do a revision on the basics, because after one full semester or maybe 2 semesters, you're already forgotten, right? So then we'll do some revision for you to make sure that you can still remember the syntax for Java, and also the constructs, including, like, let's say the declaration, okay, the instantiation, okay, and then the inheritance, all those polymorphism parts, you need to know them, all right? And then next, we learn about how to create exception handler, and followed by routines that handles text input-output, followed by binary I/O streams. So you will be able to compare these two and see which one is better for your own use. And all these things that you are learning here, you need to use them in your project, okay? Some people will be asking, can I use, like, for example, MySQL in my Java code? What do you think is the answer? No, right? Okay, although theoretically the JDBC things are supported, right? But because we want you to be able to create file systems and handle the file on your own, right? So therefore, this part, you shouldn't be using anything outside of the syllabus here, right? So JDBC, when you go out to work, then you can write a program using JDBC on Java. But now, if you're going to do assignment for this particular course, then no JDBC is allowed, okay? Very unfortunate, but we have to actually set the requirement in such a way that it requires you to use text I/O or binary I/O, right? These are the two. And then for the UI, you can actually use JavaFX or String AWT, okay? So all these are available in Java, so it doesn't matter which one you use. if you have already got experience using Java Swing or AWT, by all means, just go ahead, right? But if you're more adventurous, you want to try something on Java FX, then you will get the latest, okay, UI component, and you notice that you can actually do a lot of wonderful things with the UI, right? Like for example, dynamic screen loading, so your dynamic components or dynamic object can be actually instantiated, right? Okay, and then we also have event-driven programming that is actually applicable to both the legacy framework, including AWT, Swing, all right? And it is also applicable to FX. And we're going to see the difference, right? The declaration is different. I'll highlight to you what are the differences so that you know, all right? And next, we are looking at the Java Collections Framework, how to make use of the standard libraries, right? Those are standard libraries available for you. And the hardest part is the Java generic. So the generic actually allows you to write, okay, templates or Java classes that can be used by multiple programs, and it makes your program more portable, and you can actually use, let's say, multiple data types on it, and we shall see how that can be done later, right? So that will be in the lecture. In the labs, you are going to learn about all this revision for classes, objects, attributes, methods, and all these are supposed to be what you have learned before, right? Constructors, instantiation, encapsulation, how to hide information, right? And then inheritance, how to inherit the attributes or the so-called methods from your parent, okay? And how to actually modify them using polymorphism and so on, right? And then abstraction, data abstraction. Then we also have interface, right? So interface and our so-called your constructors and so on, there's a difference, okay? We shall look at that, right? When you create an interface, of course, it's going to be different from the classes that you instantiate, right? And we are going to look at some modifiers, including final, static, and abstract, and then the Java API that you can make use of. So if we have time, we'll go into more advanced topics, but if not, then the Java packages, we are going to cover the standard ones only, all right? So, assessment. This is what you are more interested in, right? Test 1, remember, on week 5, online, as I mentioned to you. Doesn't matter where you do it, because some of you will probably be having public holidays, right? So then you can do it at any time. I think what I'll do is I will create the test in such a way that it is available throughout the week, all right? You can attempt it one time, right, at any time, but it is time, right? That means you have to complete that within 1 or 1.5 hours and one try only, right? Okay? Next, group project, right? The group project is due by week 12, both parts, okay, part 1 and part 2. And then that constitutes 50% of your coursework marks. Presentation, another 10%. So this I have to remind you, do not skip any of the assessment, because if you get a 0 for the assessment, that means you have failed your coursework. All right? So some people, they are very smart. They thought by just skipping the presentation, you still have 60%, right? Out of 70, right? Not quite, right? If you miss one of those assessments, that means your coursework will be considered a fail, right? So the minimum is you need to pass 40%, right, for each assessment component, right? Including your final exam, 40% means 12 marks, right? Okay, 12 out of 30 in order to get your results considered as a pass, all right? So hopefully you are clear about this thing, because there are bound to be students who forgot this fact, okay? And then they skip 1 or 2 of the assessment thinking that they still deserve a pass. But unfortunately, if you wait until your result is out, then it's already too late, right? So I have to mention this to you so that you are aware of it, right? And then the test is on week 5, e-learning week on week 8, as usual. The rest of the classes are physical except when there's a public holiday. Then it becomes an online lesson, right? So those under my care, unfortunately, Monday, Wednesdays, you know lah, right? There are public holidays throughout the semester. Okay? And what are the things that you need to actually bring or prepare for this course? First, you need a laptop or PC. How many doesn't have laptop or PC or even, let's say, MacBook? All right? Okay, so it's better for you to have, right? And if you don't have, let me know, I'll source for you, right? Okay, but anyway, you are already in your second year, so all these things are supposed to be ready for you, okay? Next, you need to install Java Development Kit, the JDK version 7 or above, right? So JDK installation and so on, I will do a specialized video for that, right? And we'll also be talking about the installation of NetBeans, Eclipse, IntelliJ, or Visual Studio Code, and also how to integrate JavaFX into each and every one of them, right? So I'll be covering 4 of the most popular IDE in use for programming Java, right? So hopefully that will give you a bit of guidance so that you are able to do your assignment without any problems, all right? So, and then for JavaFX, we are going to look at 2 tools that are quite useful. One is the Scene Builder 2.0, right? This is standard tools built by the Java Consortium, right? So this will be under Oracle. The other one is from Glue-On called Scene Builder, right? The name looks the same, right? But when it comes to the interface, there's a slight difference, okay? But all these are actually supposed to help you to design screen, right? You can just drag and drop the component. So nowadays, Java, if you want to design screen, you don't have to memorize, like, for example, the coordinate system anymore, right? So you can just drag and put it or place it in the right place and then just code the internals, right? But of course, it comes with a bit of requirement, like, for example, since it's going to be used over the internet as well, so they make use of formats that are similar to CSS. Have you studied cascaded style sheet? CSS, right? So if you have studied CSS, then that format of the UI is actually similar to the CSS. And then when you look at the code behind, then you can see that it's actually similar to CSS, right? And it's very similar to your web HTML markup language. Then it's much easier to learn, right, for that. So then you need to install JavaFX 2. This is 20, sorry, JavaFX version 20 and above. The latest, I think, is 21, 22, right? But don't worry, if you don't know how to install this, then we will go through the step-by-step, okay? Because the installation, everything, I will prepare a good guide for you guys so that this part shouldn't be a problem, right? Because if you can't get this done, how are you going to do your assignment, right? So therefore, we need to actually get them prepared as early as possible. So please install the SDK and IDE at the beginning of the semester. And during the practical and tutorial session, ask for help, right? Those under my care, well, I'm always available to you. But those under other tutors, then you can just ask the tutor for hands-on assistance, okay? All right? And attendance, as I mentioned to you, 80%, right? If you don't wish to be barred from exam, okay? Some of those who were barred from exam before, you know, right? So if you're barred from exam, then you have to basically go to Campus Central, appeal, and see whether they allow you to take your final exam, right? So if you can't attend for any reasons, please apply for leave. I think I've already got a few applications for leave that have already approved. And if this week you can't come over for the lecture, that's fine, because you can still apply for leave, right? If not, then there might be a big problem later. If, let's say, your absence is more than 20%, all right? Okay? And take note that for the leave application, normally I'll be very lenient, but there are instances where you need to actually help me to help you. How? Let's say if you say that you are on medical leave or medical reasons, please attach your medical cert or any memo or diagnosis from your doctor. Then that will help me to approve your leave much faster, right? If you say you want to go for family occasion and so on, please attach invitation letters or let's say your air ticket, right? So that I know that this is genuine, right? Okay? Then for attendance updating, if you miss your attendance and so on, by right, we could have updated your attendance, right? Through the legacy system. I'm going to show it to you. It's very tedious to update, right? Let me show it to you in a short while so that you understand that it's not easy for lecturers to update your attendance using the old system, right? And it's easier for you to actually apply for leave, right? If you can't come for a class or two, right? Okay, so the attendance update, there's a window of 2 weeks. Don't come to us after 2 weeks, say, hey, can you update my attendance for last month? I'll say, sorry, beyond my ability, right? Because there's a scope of 2 weeks. I'll show it to you in a short while, all right? And all classes are physical except for week 8. That is your independent study week, right? And that week will be online. Attendance normally will be taken during the first 10 minutes, right? But for those who came in late, also I will share the QR code later, all right? Provided we have time for it, okay? And anything, please email to me, all right? Okay, and when it comes to assignment or coding and so on, can you use ChatGPT for your answer? So you may use it for learning, but you should not be using any of those AI-generated work or code, right? So if you use it in your assignment, I can see that, right? Why? Because they have a very nice signature that we can recognize, right? So I won't tell you how, but it's very easy to recognize if you know the tricks, okay? And any violations will result in your work being rejected, okay? So as much as possible, please do your own work. Don't use tools to generate, right? Unless you want to generate like UI. UI is fine, all right? Okay, any questions? If not, then I'll share this to you so that you are aware that okay, your attendance updating, how easy is that? Or how difficult? First, your lecturer will have to log in, look for the, okay, study intake, look for the class. Okay, let's say today. Then I have to go inside and say attendance entry, right? And in order to mark your attendance, I'll say mark attendance. And there's a window of 2 weeks, okay, as I mentioned to you. Anything earlier than these 2 weeks will not be shown. And of course, no future update, right? That means for future dates, it's not going to be shown here. So don't ask me to update, like let's say, I'm going for let's say, certain occasion on May. Can you update for me, sir? Answer is, I'm sorry. Okay, I can't do that. All right? Okay, then you go inside here, and there you go. Right, so to update the attendance, I will have to physically look for your name. Okay, and one by one, the update. And this looks easy for lecture, right? But when it comes to tutorial, the challenge will be in the tutorial. Why? Some students, they are very quick to say that, sir, can you update my attendance for Wednesday? Wednesday, I have 2 sessions. Okay? Then which session are you belonging to? You got to tell me, right? So if let's say you don't tell me, how am I supposed to know which session you belong to, right? Section 3 or section 5? Then it becomes a burden, right? I have to go in one by one to look for your name. All right? And then if let's say the future dates, of course, it's not going to be shown, right? Only for the coming, the actual ones, right? Okay? And this week, there's no practical or tutorial, right? So therefore, I won't be able to update it. Right, so I'm just trying to show to you the legacy system, right? So this legacy system is not easy to use, right? It's very troublesome. If you want me to update your attendance, then you got to give me all information, including your name, your ID, your session, which day, right? Which date as well, right? Okay, so that it's easy for us to spot. Because if not, then we will have to search through all. Some will just give me their name and then expect me to do wonders. Then I have to look for your, let's say, tutorial group from 1 all the way until the end. Right? Please help us. Okay? So it's not an easy to use system, not a user-friendly system, because it's legacy, right? Using Oracle, and this was done quite some time ago. All right? Okay? So hopefully you get the idea, and I'll share with you all this information by tonight. When I go back, I try to transport everything over, and hopefully the system is stable enough, right? So that they don't wipe out your data, right? Okay. So, okay, any questions? All right. So just pay attention to those dates that you have assessments, all right? So those are the dates that you need to make sure you are here or you are ready to attempt your assessments. Like for example, for test 1 on week 5, right, online, within that whole week, all right? So I'll open from, let's say, from Monday all the way until Sunday, and you can attempt it, okay? So that will be easier for you, okay? Right, any other questions that you'd like to ask? Open for Q&A. All right. Okay, for the attendance code, here we go. Right, attendance round 2. Round 2. Okay, so since this is week 1, okay, please do so ASAP. Although we don't have 100% attendance, but never mind. Right, so some of your friends may be still back home, overseas. So we try to give them some allowance so that they are able to fulfill their attendance criteria, right? Okay. So any other things? Right, week 1, relax. Okay, but week 2 onwards, we're coming to the heavyweights later, right? So week 1 is just an introduction for you to know what the course is all about. But we are expecting students to have already learned basic OOP. If you are not okay with OOP, let me know as early as possible. You can text me personally and so on. Let me know that you need help so that we can help you, right? Okay? All right, anything else? All right? Okay. If nothing else, then this lecture theater doesn't come with the recording, right? Does it come with that recording? Not sure? Okay. If yes, then that would be great, okay? Then the lectures are recorded. Then I will actually have to create another recording session using the tools. All right? Okay. And you can see that all these are popular IDE, right? Eclipse, IntelliJ, Apache, and Visual Studio Code, right? And if you want to use any additional ones, let me know. Then, okay. But these are the 4 popular UI, right? The popular IDE that people use to develop Java applications. And hence, the setting up will be very easy. IntelliJ seems to be the easiest because you don't actually have to worry about the additional parameters and so on. But you do need to know how to install them, right? And what are environment variables? Because a lot of people, they don't know what's an environment variable until today, right? So environment variable is basically used to point your compiler to find certain files in certain folder, right? So they are memorized inside your system, and it will be valid throughout the life cycle of your system. When you turn it on, the environment variables should be there, right? And how to set it up, of course, you need to know, right? If you're using Windows, of course, you will go to your properties, and then where to find it? Right? So this is inside your, right? If you can't find it here, it's okay. You just type env, and then you can see the edit environment will be shown to you, and you can just edit it from your Windows here. All right? Okay? So edit environment variables for your account or for the system. then this will be inside your system properties. So it's supposed to be here. All right? And take note that you need to actually add in the one for Java, right? And most important one will be Java Home. Okay? If you're going to use Maven like me, I'm using a Maven Home as well. So Java is the one that you need to have, all right? So that's the very minimum system variable, so that it's available for all your users on your machine, right? Although theoretically you can set it as a user variable, but the easiest, of course, is to set it as a system variable, all right? And for your path, this is also important because when you search for your codes and so on, right? So this is where it's going to look for. But this one is only for Python, don't worry, okay? So for Python, I'm using a personal environment variable, but for Java, it's going to be universal, right? So it's on my system variable, okay? So that's environment variable. Let's say if you're using MacBook or if you use Linux, then the settings will be, of course, inside your settings file, right? Your configuration file. I'll basically share those information with you later because I need to actually use a Linux machine to show you that, all right? And I haven't actually configured Linux machine for my virtual machine, right? For my VMware or even for my virtual box. So once I have that, then I'll share it with you, right? Okay, any questions? Right. So take note that when you want to install this IDE as well as your Java JDK, you need sufficient disk space and permission, right? So if you don't have the disk space or permission to do so, then you have to basically get it ready by asking the person who owns the machine or whichever, right? So that you're able to get it ready for your own use, all right? Like let's say if the notebook doesn't belong to you, it belongs to your brother, then you have to ask your brother for that, right? Okay? Okay, any other questions? Gee, it's kind of weird, right? Sitting in the middle and 360 degrees, except here, right? Okay. It makes you feel like you're singing, right? You're a singer. And, okay. Right. Previously, we were using LT1, right? LT1 is still a lecture theater, right? And here is more like a forum or sharing session, right? But okay, I think it's good that everyone can see each other, right? Unlike in the LT1 there, if you are sleeping also, I won't be able to see you. Right? Okay. All right, so that's all for today. Any questions? Welcome to the class. And okay, as much as possible, I hope to see all of you passing my subject, right? Okay? All right, so that's all for today, and I'll see you next coming Monday for those who are having my tutorial. But the tutorial session, of course, I'll start off with a bit of briefing first, right? Because the lecture will be on Friday, right? So during the tutorial, we are going to talk about how to install your applications and also how to set it up so that you are able to do your work. And on top of that, we will follow the tutorial questions and the practical, okay? All right? So the materials will be ready by tonight or tomorrow, all right? I need to port it over, and hopefully it won't die again. All right, thanks a lot, and I'll see you. Okay, thank you.